Hey friends, we're going to read a book this week. It's called Blizzard by Rocco. We're going to do a lot of different activities with it this week. I want you to pay attention. Inside cover. I want you to be thinking about how the author actually starts the story before you even see any words. One day when I was a young boy, nearly 4 feet of snow fell from the sky. This is my story. Now I notice this word my, right? That tells me that this book is written in the first person, just like your personal narrative. When you told a story about you, who do you think is telling the story? The first flake fell right before recess. It was followed by many, many more. You can notice the top of the bushes don't have any snow. It's starting to pile up. The wind whipped up and school closed early. By the time my sister and I got home, the snow was already over our boots. The snow continued to fall through the night, and I thought it would never stop. The next morning, the snowdrifts were so high, we couldn't open our front door, so we went out the window instead. We laughed as we sank deep into the frozen powder, but walking was hard. It was like trying to move through white quicksand. Every few steps, I had to stop and rest. It was even too deep for our sled. When we went back inside, we were cold, wet, and tired. We made camp by the wood stove, and our feet tingled as we sipped hot cocoa made with milk. On the third day, Dad shoveled the driveway so he could get the car out when the snowplows came. We dug tunnels and secret rooms under the snow. By day 4, the plows still hadn't come. I wondered if we'd ever see grass again. Look at how deep it is. Looks like that might be a picnic table. Look at their basketball hoop. Look at the neighbor. And look where he is. He's in the top of the tree. Inside, things got tense as our food started to run out. I knew we couldn't survive much longer on cocoa made with water. What's happening? I don't see any people, but I see the conversation happening inside the house. We need to get to the store, but the roads aren't plowed, and we certainly can't walk through this. On day 5, I realized it was up to me to take action. I was the only one who had memorized the survival guide. He's reading Arctic Survival. I wonder, did you notice? In this page, there's his book, Arctic Survival. I was the only one who knew what equipment was required. I was the only one light enough to walk on top of the snow. On day 6, I made a list. I prepared the sled. Then I set off. My usual landmarks were covered by snowdrifts, but I managed to check in with the neighbors on my long journey. So here he is. There's an exchange happening right there. This is one of the best parts about this book. Probably not going to be able to see the whole thing. Look what the author did. What he's doing along the way. You can see his footprints. You can see where he went the wrong way. He had to turn around. Do you see a snow angel? Explored an igloo. Even joined a snowball fight. And he finally made it to Bill's Market. So that is a great addition to this story. At last, I reached the store. I was tired, hungry, and chilled to the bone. But I couldn't think about myself. I was on a mission. Are you going to carry all this by yourself? Yes, sir. I've got my sled. She's on the phone. Yes, he's on his way back now. Who do you suppose she's talking to? On the return trip, I raced to drop off the groceries before the sun went down. Grateful smiles and cheers gave me the energy I needed to make it back home. His face. That night, we all had cocoa made with milk, and it had never tasted better. But there was something else we still needed. Snowplows. It looked as though we would see civilization again after all. All the conversations. Guess we'll have to go back to school tomorrow. Boo! Who's saying thank heaven? I was going stir crazy. Here's the kids. Here's the grown-ups. Here they are being generous with the snowplow drivers. We had survived the blizzard. Let's read this. The blizzard of 78. On Monday, February 6, 1978, New England, that's the east coast of the United States, experienced one of the biggest snowstorms in its history. It snowed for 2 days, and by the time it stopped, parts of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut were buried under 40 inches of snow. That's 4 times the height of this book. The wind was blowing 50 miles an hour and created snowdrifts up to 15 feet high. Where I grew up in Rhode Island, It took over a week for snowplows to get to our street. This book is based on my experience as a 10-year-old boy in that blizzard and how I got to the store over a mile from my house with tennis rackets tied to my feet. So, is this a true story or a made up story? What do you think? Is this fiction or nonfiction? It's based on an experience of a real life. Okay? And here's John Rocco, right, as a 10-year-old. So look at the outside of the book. When I take the cover off, it's his town in Rhode Island. Okay? And the fun thing about this book for me is that I was also 10 years old in 1978. I also lived through the blizzard of 1978 in my neighborhood here in Michigan. We had neighbors use their snowmobiles to go to the store for everybody to get things like milk and cereal and bread. Okay, so I have some really good connections to this story, and I hope you do too.